Sometimes it happens quietly. A lump rises in your throat, your eyes start to shimmer, and before you can explain why, the tears are already there. And in that moment, you wonder if something is wrong with you, or if you're simply too emotional. But what if crying easily isn't a weakness at all, but a window into something deeper, something you've carried for years without ever noticing? People who cry easily often move through the world with a soft kind of strength. They feel the world intensely, not because they want to, but because their internal radar is always switched on. They pick up on shifts, tones, silences, and energies that others overlook. And sometimes the tears aren't about sadness. They're about overwhelm, gratitude, relief, or the sudden release of emotions they've been holding for too long. For many, this sensitivity begins in childhood. Crying may have been the only language they had when their emotional world felt too big to express. Maybe they grew up in a home where they were told to stop being dramatic, or where no one knew how to help them navigate those heavy feelings. So tears became both a refuge and a signal, a way their mind learned to say, "I'm feeling something important," even when the words weren't there. As they grew older, they learned to mask their emotions in public, but still felt everything deeply on the inside. The smallest moment, a kind gesture, a sad scene in a movie, a harmless conversation, could trigger tears because it tapped into layers they never fully unpacked. These layers are like echoes of old experiences, times they felt unseen, times they felt misunderstood, times they wished someone would simply say, "It's okay. I get it." People who cry easily often carry unspoken pressure. They are the ones who try to stay calm for everyone else, who absorb tension in a room and pretend it doesn't affect them. They're the silent emotional caretakers, always worrying about others, always trying to keep the peace. But inside, their emotional cup fills quickly, and tears become the release valve their mind uses to keep from overflowing. Sometimes the tears come from empathy. They feel other people's pain almost as if it's their own. They imagine the story behind someone's eyes. They sense the heaviness in a friend's voice, and suddenly their body responds before their mind has time to process. That's why even small emotional moments hit them harder than most people expect. Their empathy is almost too big for their body to contain. Other times, crying is tied to unexpressed needs they've pushed aside for years. People who cry easily often struggle with communication, not because they can't speak, but because they fear burdening others. They avoid conflict, avoid asking for help, avoid admitting when they're tired or hurt. And when these hidden needs finally surface, they emerge as tears. It's the body's way of saying, "You've held this in long enough." There's also a psychological layer tied to emotional overload. When the mind is juggling too many thoughts, fears, or expectations, the emotional system becomes sensitive to even the slightest trigger. A mild disappointment feels heavier. A small misunderstanding feels personal. A simple comment spirals into overthinking. The tears are the mind's attempt to regulate itself when everything inside feels too tight. But crying easily isn't just about sensitivity. It's also about courage. It means their emotions haven't hardened. It means the world hasn't numbed them. It means they still have access to parts of themselves that many people lose along the way. They can still feel deeply, love deeply, hurt deeply, and that emotional depth is a strength, even if it doesn't always feel like one. People who cry easily often have a rich inner world. They replay conversations in their head. They analyze small moments. They think about what others might be feeling. Yet they rarely receive the same level of understanding they give. They're told to toughen up, to stop being so sensitive, to get over it. And so they learn to hide their tears, even though hiding never truly works. The emotions simply wait, quietly, until they find another moment to slip through. If you cry easily, it doesn't mean you're unstable. It means your emotional wiring is tuned finely enough to detect what others miss. You feel the weight of disappointment, the warmth of love, the sting of rejection, the beauty of simple moments, all with sharper clarity. And yes, that can be exhausting, but it also means you experience life in a way that is raw, real, and deeply human. Maybe the reason you cry easily is because you've spent years being strong in ways no one ever noticed. You held yourself together through things that could have broken you. You carried emotions you never had the space to express. Now, even small triggers can tap into old reservoirs of feeling you never got to release. Your tears aren't overreactions. They're reminders of battles you fought quietly. And beneath all of this, there is a deeper truth. People who cry easily are often people who care deeply. They care about relationships, fairness, kindness, connection. They care about being good enough, being understood, being appreciated. Their tears reflect their longing for harmony, both within themselves and with the world around them. So, if this sounds like you, let yourself breathe for a moment. You are not too much. You are not weak. You're simply someone whose heart speaks a little louder than most. Someone who feels the world in high definition. Someone who has survived more than you give yourself credit for. And maybe, just maybe, your tears aren't something to fix. They are messages. They are memories. They are the release your mind gives you when you've been holding on for too long. In the end, crying easily doesn't make you fragile. It makes you honest. And the more you understand your emotional patterns, where they come from, what they trying to tell you, the more you can embrace your sensitivity instead of fighting it. Because sometimes, those who cry the most are the ones who have loved the deepest, cared the hardest, and carried the heaviest emotions in silence. And their tears are just the truth finally finding a way out.